Well, welcome. Everybody I know is still sort of piling in here. I've got exactly noon, 12:01 it looks like. So another minute or two for the rest of the herd, the gaggle, the group to join here, and we will get started. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Always an important component. And no, there will not be snacks. So have virtual snacks. I think they have that on Zoom somewhere. So I think, let's see, make that expand. Oop, that's not good. There we go. So if you don't mind, for those of you who have attended these before, if you can raise your hand virtually, if you can hear me and see the screen. So, oh, good, good, good. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, look at all these hands going up. Very good. Thank you. Like I said, we're going to wait about another minute or two. Extra prompt here on a Tuesday for this group, and then I will get started. Good, good. Okay. Well, I will go ahead and get started. Looks like the mad attendee rush is slowing down a little bit. Sometimes we'll get another surge in 5 or 6 minutes. So I am Brian Klontz, President of Charitable Solutions. So glad to have you here today. I am a risk manager by background, and certainly that's what the firm does, as many of you know. And so one of the worst things that you can do with a Zoom call is not have a co-presenter and a separate location that can jump in if there are any kind of IT or other difficulties. So we're going to see how this is going to go because it's just me solo today. So I'm hopeful everything will go through well. So a quick bit of housekeeping. Those of you who have attended our series before, we do not send out slides per se. However, we do send out a free link to the webinar. And so that is posted on our website. The last slide here has, I think, our 12, 15 webinars that we've done in the past. And then we also include a Q&A. And mainly the A part of that. So if you don't mind, if you can post any questions in the Q&A section, then I do a scrape of that after, and then we'll answer those, plus those from Thursday's call, so that Friday or probably Monday, Tuesday-ish, you'll get a link with the Q&A and the free recording. So a bit of housekeeping there. And I will say, unfortunately, I've got a fair amount to cover. You can see here, this isn't your grandfather's CGA Part 2. So we did Part 1 last month with 3 CGA applications. This one is 6. And so I debated, like, well, should I do like 3 now and then 3 more? And people said, gift annuities are good for a couple months, and then we'll sort of jump back to some other topics. So I'm just going to sort of jam all 6 here. And so without a co-presenter, I'm not going to be able to jump back and forth and make this as interactive as I would hope, frankly. But I hope you'll give us a bit of a pass on that one. We typically do that on the prior months, but just probably won't have a ton of time to do it. So I love this topic. This is very geeky to say, but the PhD down there I got was my dissertation was on gift annuities. So both on market scope, number of charities that issue them, and then a lot around solvency and regulatory issues. So I do get very excited around the complex gift annuity applications for some odd reason. So first thing I'm going to do is go through briefly the rest of the firm here. So just take a few minutes to do this. So Charitable Solutions, firm I started in 2003. We've got a team of 16. There are 3 attorneys in addition to myself, actually 4 now, effective today, in addition to myself. And then what we do is we make charitable gifts happen that otherwise wouldn't. So this is why I started the firm. I get very excited. We do that primarily through risk management design or structures. So very briefly, I set up as the founder of the Emergency Assistance Foundation, which you can see down here, but we also do some third-party administration for disaster relief and hardship funds. The administration that we use through the charity, the Emergency Assistance Foundation, now we have over 300 corporate funds, 10 million employees. We did over $100 million in grants last year, and we do that globally. So we did 187,000 grants last year. We got a team of 125 on that side. So anyway, do a lot in that space. And again, it's around the sort of risk of having employer groups primarily being able to make grants to their employees who are facing either a qualified disaster, financial issue, or a personal hardship, and to be able to do that in such a way that donations to the fund are charitably deductible, and then the grants received to fund are income tax free. So that's sort of the holy grail in that space, and there's some structures and some things that you have to do to be able to accomplish it, but we do a lot in that space. We're by far the largest on the globe doing that now. Professional advisors, CE, and board staff, nonprofit donor speeches, so doing them all virtually now. I'm so excited. I go on my first trip on Monday of next week, so it's been now 17 months, I guess 16 months since I've done that. And so typically, back pre-COVID days, doing about 65 to 80 days out a year doing these kind of speeches, but obviously move them more virtual, which I've enjoyed aspects and not enjoyed other aspects. But in any event, it'd be good to have a little bit more of a balance. So do a lot of that. Charitable gift annuity risk management, to some extent what we're talking about today. So we have 2 actuaries on staff as well. That's a little bit more of my background, at least academically. And so we do gift annuity risk audits on larger pools, look at overall cash flow modeling, those kinds of things. In essence, stress testing large pools. So we do a lot of that. And or in the last week alone, we've worked on a gift that was a $38 million gift annuity. And then we're also working on 2. That one was a $6 million one, one's a $3 million one. So we are seeing just gigantic, super mega jumbo gift annuities, just gigantic coming in. And so with those, we look at those being reinsured, but there are some other things that you can do beyond reinsurance as well. So bottom line, do a lot in the gift annuity risk management space and have since the firm's inception. Also do virtual currency and life insurance appraisals and audits. So I've always done that personally. We now have 2 qualified appraisers on staff. This is a somewhat new service that we now offer, where we only do charitable appraisals in every asset, at least that we haven't been stumped so far, in terms of business interests, in terms of, you can see there the cryptocurrency, which I already do life insurance, but restricted stock. What I did not include on here, which I need to, by the way, is precious metals, art, other types of collectibles, jewelry. So we have, again, on the website, if you look at the Meet the Team, you'll see the 4 appraisers that we've now brought on to be able to do, again, only one-trick pony stuff, which is qualified appraisals for charitable deduction purposes, whether those are outright or for a CGA or for CRTs, et cetera. So done a lot in that space. Our primary activity-ish, probably 60% of what we do, is around the non-cash asset risk management. Many of you know this. We do a very large amount of transactions where we either A, help the charity receive it themselves, so we're just a consultant on an hourly basis there, about 5% of our time, not a ton, 5 to 10%. And the other times we work with charities is with the Decami Foundation. So technically we have multiple structures. There's the Decami Foundation, which is a national donor advised fund only taking in illiquid or complex gifts. And then we have the Decami Asset Trust, which will be one of the solutions for today, around UBIT assets. So we do a ton of S-Corp stock, other UBIT assets through that structure. We can do direct DAF investments that are more concentrated in either public securities or private stock, or direct investments into real estate. About a third of our assets now are in those functions. We have about $820 million in total assets at this point, so growing very quickly. We do non-cash life income gifts, so we're talking about that too, so CRT CGAs. And there was $403 million in donations we did last year. We did exactly 100. It's kind of weird that it's that round of a number, but the average donation there was over $4 million each. Average fee was 1.6%. Done now, it's actually $1.8 billion. I need to update this since inception. And most importantly, the big takeaway here is 100% of those gifts, 100% were initially declined by the charity the donor was trying to offer it to in the first place. So we do zip marketing to donors or advisors ever. We are only behind the charities that they have a good donor with a good asset wanting to do good things. If you have those things, don't say no. If there's a wicked quick turn, call us. If it's international gifts, call us. If it's anything high value, any kind of complexity, super fast before there's a potential sale, give us a call. Don't say no. And so every one of those were initially declined, and every one of those then were captured. $1.8 billion now, average fee overall about 1.5%, which then means, very importantly, we never manage anything once it's liquid, ever. So then 98.5 cents on the dollar-ish is then granted from our advised fund back to the charity or the charities the donor was trying to give it to in the first place. We're a donor advised fund pass-through charity. And then National Gift Annuity Foundation, I saved this one for last because we're going to talk about this a bit more today. That's another charity I created. And so in essence, it's just like the non-cash side, again, all around risk management. The firm was started because there are only two types of gifts that a charity can lose more money than the original gift, and that is non-cash gifts that go sideways, or that's a gift annuity that exhausts or goes sideways. So National Gift Annuity Foundation, its own charity. We've got now 600 contracts, just under 600 gift annuity contracts, $44 million in assets. We're by far the largest independent provider in the country. I think we're the third largest pool in the country anyway. But 100% of the residuum, same thing, goes back to the charity the donor was trying to give it to. We're in every state except for Hawaii. So bottom line is, we help make gifts happen that otherwise wouldn't. That's what the whole firm does. That gets me very excited. And so now let's talk about gift annuity. So I hope that was an okay little blurb on what we do. So often, I'm a horrible marketer, and so often people will say, well, I know you did all these appraisals. I had no idea you did gift annuities. It's like, because I've never told you that. We've been doing it for 15 years. So anyway, trying to use this as a way to sort of broaden out the scope of what we do. So here's the agenda. So last month, if I can find my little pointer here, it's somewhere in there. Can't even see it. There it is. We did the part one of this. We did the impact called the Now-N-Later annuity. The Testamentary CGA, basically it was an IRA stretch alternative, so we talked about that one, and then the Crypto CGA. So those of you who did not attend last time, you might get all excited about those topics, as you should. They were life-altering. Then you can go and watch free video, free webinar right on our website. Click it. We don't ask for names or anything. Watch it 15 times if you want to. So this is an extension of that. So we're going to talk about the S-Corp UBIT. All that gets a little bit interchangeable. That means unrelated business taxable income, which creates UBIT, which is unrelated business income tax, but trying to be a little bit more technical here, UBIT, gift annuity. The Charitable Deduction Stretch CGA, the Term of Years Commuted CGA, the CRT Punt to CGA, the Retained Life Estate CGA, and the Testamentary Spendthrift CGA. These are not theoretical. Every one of these except the CRT Punt we have done in the last year, so, or helped other charities do, by the way. And in fact, nope, still haven't done the CRT Punt one. So this is not theoretical. These are advanced applications that can work wonderfully based on your donor or your client's goals and how a gift annuity can perhaps solve those that, in many cases, other vehicles cannot, or perhaps not as efficiently. So again, this is not theoretical. This is why I'm doing this webinar. We're seeing these things often and want to sort of share information and the positives and the negatives for these kinds of applications. You see the disclaimer, don't sue us. They're all free. Don't sue us for free stuff. There you go. And you're not getting snacks, which was the other comment earlier. All right, so the first thing I thought I would do, we had a couple comments the last time we did this to say, can you spend a little bit more time on the basics of a gift annuity? The answer is not really. So this is an advanced topic, but I want to spend maybe just a couple minutes sort of going through this. So I'm using this from the last time as well. So very quickly, you should know how a gift annuity works, but if not, you've got donors. So here are the donors. They give cash or appreciated assets to the charity. The charity usually has a 2 to 3 page contract, not a trust. That is a gift annuity. Most all do not charge anything, so complimentary to set them up, unlike a trust. And then the gift annuity terms are, if you give us X assets, we will give you Y life income. A percentage below the ACGA maximum rates. I think it's 92, 93% of charities do. I'm on the ACGA research committee. I'm supposed to know that. But the vast majority of charities follow the ACGA recommended rates. And then so you've got the contracts, you've got the donors making the asset gift, and then you've got the charity making the payments back. And then because they're getting some life income, they're not able to get a full deduction for what was donated. They get a partial deduction because they're retaining some life income. But anything in the remainder, more legally and technically the residuum, is then passed through the charity to the other charities the donor is trying to give to. Now, certainly this could go to a university and it all just stays as one. This description is more the Decamai Asset Trust, which we're going to talk about today, or I'm going to talk about today briefly, or our National Gift Annuity Foundation. So in essence, more of a third-party provider for these gifts, like a community foundation certainly could, or religious-based foundations, et cetera. So what are the benefits to the donor? Fixed income, fixed. Whatever comes into the charity, going back to them as a fixed payment, cannot increase over time, not fluctuating, fixed. So for younger donors, purchasing power risk can be an issue. There could be some other issues, but the donor gets that charitable income tax deduction, as already mentioned, based on the value and the age, in essence deriving from the discount rate what they're getting back, and then 100% of the balance paid to the charity outside the donor's estate too. So that's it. I just want to make that pretty quick. A couple chat things came in. Let me see. Oh, okay. Just funny comments, so I appreciate that. So thank you. So let's now go to the meat of this. So we're going to jump right in here. Oop, 50% of the original gift. Yes. Okay. So S-Corp. So all you need to know about S-Corp, we did a whole webinar just on S-Corporation stock gifts, the unrelated business taxable income that is recognized, which creates the unrelated business income tax, and a very unique window of opportunity under the CARES Act for 2020 and through extension 2021. So we're going to now talk about some things that we are seeing. Big gift annuities. This $38 million one was an S-Corp transaction. Very interesting transaction. I'm basically laying it out for you here. But that is then a S-Corp transaction for this year with a sale this year and what that means. So we're going to go through that now. So donor problem. You always start with a problem. Our firm is called Charitable Solutions, so we always have a problem or a challenge. And so we could also say this are the goals. So your donor, your client, owns S-Corp stock. Can be an active business LLC, can be mortgaged real estate, can be more complex, but I'm just sort of throwing those in there as well as those things that create UBTI. So all of those will create very likely unrelated business taxable income, which creates a tax to the charity receiving it. So in this case, she also wants the charitable gift to be made and receive a life income. You see I put it in red. Charitable remainder trust, bad. A charitable remainder trust, if you put S-Corp in there, or mortgaged property, generally speaking, or active business LLC, any recognized unrelated business taxable income has a tax of, wait for it, 100%. You can see it right there in the parentheses. That's a lot. Any unrelated business taxable income, 100% tax. And again, there could be a couple exceptions to that, not many, and none with S-Corp stock. Charitable gift annuity, good. Possibly so good that it's not a 100% tax for 2021 only. Maybe it'll be extended again. Who knows? But at least we know through 2021 only. Then there could be a 0% tax. By my math, 0% tax is better than 100% tax. How does it work? So the donor can transfer the S-Corporation stock for a gift annuity. And so this gets a little bit, say this 5 times fast, to a gift annuity issuing trust form. Charities can be a corporate form or a trust form. A trust form, donor advised fund needs to have that most always, situs, and an income tax-free state. Again, say that 5 times fast. So our completely my hypothetical would be the Decamai Asset Trust. So we have one. There are others. So look out there for a charity that is a trust form charity, ideally with a donor advised fund or some grant making component to it, that issues gift annuities, and that ideally is issuing those gift annuities through a charity that is in an income tax-free state, like Nevada. So our Decamai Asset Trust and our Decamai Foundation are both Nevada public charities. And you might be saying, why does that matter? Oh, that's a big deal. So this is the way you sort of reverse engineer the optimal tax impact. So in this case, the S corporation stock is donated. The charity can issue them at full ACGA rates. To be very clear, if there is going to be some unrelated business taxable income that creates some tax, and perhaps there's a fee, very typically a fee with us, usually 2% or so. That's just on average, but just sort of throwing that out to keep the math simple. Then the ACGA payment at the rate would be at the net amount. So on average, by the way, if it's not under the CARES Act, we pay a long-term net capital gains tax of 8%, one more than 7, 8%. If that same S-Corp went to a same charity in the same state, also income tax-free state, I'm throwing that out, that is in corporate form, they're going to be paying a 20% tax rate. If you're in a state with an income tax, add more to both of those. So even in the non-CARES Act regime, we were able to take $1 million of S-Corp stock in, assume zero basis, we would have an 8% tax. That leaves $920,000 net left. By the way, to a CRT, what would be left? Zero. It'd be $1 million tax. Zero. Going to, instead of gift annuity, 8% tax. That leaves $920,000 that the gift annuity is based off of that rate. There's some interpolation that we do to get there, but that's how you sort of land. What is the point? And under CARES, that's good. That's like really good. Under CARES, it could actually drop down to 0% if there are other grants that are being made to non-donor advised funds from that donor advised fund foundation. So I also want to be clear, I should have said this from the outset. This is a buffet. So I'm going to go through 2 or 3 pages, and every one of these, if you're interested in this, you might say, oh, there's a lot more that I want to know. I bet there is, but I only have about 3 or 4 minutes per each of these 6. We have some white papers on these. Just email me. We can go deeper into it, but this is just sort of a summary snapshot. I'm not going through all the detail. I did a whole hour, we did, on just S-Corp stock to trust form DAFs. So this is like a 3-minute version of that. So in that case, we use what's called a wait-and-see contract, where we true it up based on the net, or we can potentially have a put option with a 1 to 2 year deferral. The bottom line is, if a donor says, I've got S-Corp stock, there are more S-Corps than C-Corps and LLCs combined. So if you have a donor or a client who's charitably inclined who has a privately held entity, odds are good it's an S-Corp. If they want to get some kind of life income back CRTs, do not do that. Bad, 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 bad. At least the S-Corp stock. You can do some things with term year CRTs with the assets within the S-Corp. Gets sometimes pretty wonky based on the structure. But with a CGA, super simple, very easy agreement. S-Corp stock goes over. This year, potentially 0 tax. Worst case, 8% tax. We charge a 2% fee, so now you're down at roughly the 90% rate. So the next piece here is when it sells, all gain for S-Corp, all gain and all income during the holding period allocated on the K-1 is all UBTI, as I put in there, but all caps, focus on that. But in 2021, CARES Act may allow a 100% deduction against the UBTI, the UBIT, for a cash advised fund grant to other direct charities. Cannot go to a other donor advised fund, cannot go to a supporting organization, and so on. It would have to be just a direct grant. Could be to any endowment at a community foundation, as an example, which we've done a number of those this year, or to a scholarship, or just for any operational unrestricted or restricted purposes, for that matter, at a direct service charity. So 0% tax, best case, 8%, worst case. Worst case, 8%, better than 100. So that works really well. The donor can receive a full fair market value deduction. Generally, there are always exceptions there. There's some hot asset rules, et cetera. and then receive the life income back from the gift annuity. In our case, if we did it through the Deck of My Asset Trust, National Gift Annuity Foundation, 100% of the residuum then goes back to other charities anyway, as I mentioned. And then the charitable tax efficiency, very important point. I just got off the call an hour ago on this exact point, that even if you had a CRT, don't do that, but even if you had a CRT and the asset is donated to it, it's sold, you're like, okay, I know how all that works, no capital gains tax at the time of sale. But now when it's reinvested, it's the worst in, first out taxation on the 4-tier tax accounting for charitable remainder trusts. All you need to know is this: a lot of what's coming out is going to be ordinary income based on the payout. For a gift annuity with really low cost basis assets, mostly what's coming out, because it's an installment gain treatment over life expectancy, most of what's coming out then is capital gain. At least under the current environment, capital gain, good. Ordinary income, bad. We'll see if that changes, but can be very, very tax efficient. Even, because I always hear people say, oh, you can get a 7% on a CRT and it's only 5.8% or something on a CGA. I'm like, whatever. You want to look at it from a tax efficiency and after-tax payout standpoint. Never mind the simplicity of a CGA. So here's the next one, Charitable Deduction Stretch CGA. Should be good on time here. I want to track it pretty closely. Yeah, good. So your donor is crazy charitable. That's the key word, crazy charitable. And we've done a few of these in the last couple of years, and it's so powerful. This is the donor that comes in and she says, I'm not going to be able to use the full charitable deduction. And when we talk about the charitable deduction, you all know how that works. Let's imagine that it's a gift of appreciated property, so stock or real estate, or cash for that matter, and it's either a 30% of adjusted gross income deduction for the property, 60% of AGI for cash. I'm not talking about CARES Act for this example. You get the point. And she said, I'm so charitable. I see need. I'm so excited about this. I want to give a ton, relatively speaking, to her income for this charity or my charities. Then what happens is this. Always her CPA, financial advisor, or attorney say, whoa, 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 you don't want to give that much away because you're not going to have enough income to use up the deduction for the year of the gift plus the 5 additional carry forward years, making it the 6-year period to deduct everything. So they think, because they're kind of true or accurate, is they would say, don't give so much away because you won't be able to use all the benefits. And they always use this word that drives me crazy. You're going to lose the tax benefits. Ugh. You're getting other tax benefits through the non-recognition of gain, never mind the impact of the grants, but you get the gist. You're losing those benefits. What to do? We see this so often with people who are just getting ready to retire, then their income's going to go way down. And because we deal so much with non-cash gifts, it's when they're selling their business. If they've worked on their business for 25 years, they're not selling these big businesses every year and a half. This might be the one big shot, the big life event that they're doing their entire career. And when they sell that business, then usually their income goes way down after the year of the gift. So we see this come up a fair amount, in particular in those situations. What can be done? I want you to think about this. What if you had a donor and they said, I want to give more than otherwise I can deduct? So maybe what we can do is create a blended gift that is an outright donation, current gift, but not all current gifts, because we will lose some of that on a projected basis after the 6 years. As you know, if you don't use it all up in the 6 years, it's gone, and that's what the advisors focus on. So let's say you got a current gift, but then you mesh that with a deferred charitable gift annuity. And let's say it's deferred for 15 to 20 years. I'm just throwing this out. It could be any kind of deferral, but let's say it's 15 or 20 years, and I'm going to have a couple points here too. And that way, you're not getting a deduction for the entire amount of the deferred gift annuity, right? You're only getting a current deduction for a portion of that. By design, I'm trying to smush down the total amount of deductible amount over the 6-year period so she can use it all up. So that way, that makes her advisors happy, going, oh, good, you can use up all of that. And now you've got this gift annuity that's deferred, so you can be conservative to make sure she sort of clears the bar or is under the bar, however you want to think about that. So now let's say you have this 15 to 20-year deferral. Most of these donors don't want life income. A lot of the donors we work with, these are huge gifts that they're giving. And the last thing they want is more income. They're going, no, no more income. We don't want to pay more tax. We're trying to get this over to charity. And we say, I understand. But still create a deferred charitable gift annuity, even if you don't want the income at all. I hope you're all following. This is super cool. So you've got this blended gift. You've done some current, you've done some into the gift annuity, but you don't get the whole deduction with the gift annuity. Maybe it's like that much of a deduction. And if you mush those two deductions together, you can use them up over the 6-year period. Now we're in year 7. So now 6 years have gone by, and it's worked perfectly. All the deductions that we wanted to be able to use, we've used them all. And now we're in year 7. The donor still has what? Still has, I don't know why my pointer always leaves, still has a retained life income interest in the deferred gift annuity. She still has that. That's her asset, is this retained future interest. In year 7, think about what we're doing here. She could talk with her CPA, and her CPA could go, you know what? You could use another deduction. And she might say, how much would be helpful? And he or she might say as the CPA, maybe $100,000. And she says, great, I'll just terminate a portion of my life income that I am owed or due or contractually set to receive under the deferred gift annuity. What just happened? She just triggered a new charitable income tax deduction through that revocation. She's not taken any of the income out. That's automatically released to charity upon that revocation, which then can be granted. And, so important, she gets another 6 years to use up that chunk of deduction based on an asset she gave 6 years, or I guess in this case, 7 years prior. So she's using, in this case, probably a very large donation, very low cost basis. She puts that in the gift annuity. It grows and grows and grows. You're in year 7. She does the revocation, and now she triggers another deduction. You can see here, so important. She could revoke any percentage. She could do 2%, 10%, 100% at any point in time. Year 7, don't need the deduction? Okay. Wait till year 8. Year 8, no deduction? Okay. Year 9, ooh, I need a big one. Okay, revoke the whole thing. At some crazy level, and I've got it on the next slide, you could have, for any of those, I want to go back here, this is so important. For those advisors that say, don't give so much, don't be crazy charitable because you can't use it over the 6-year period, I have just shown, and other people have admitted this, not me, that you can take then a charitable deferred gift annuity, even if you don't want any income ever. You know you're not going to take the income, but you defer it long enough to give you a window of revocation opportunity beyond year 6, that in year 7 you can trigger it, which takes you, 6 more years, to year 13. Year 14, trigger it again. You're spreading out, stretching that charitable deduction for 20 years, 30 years if you want to. So that allows people then to have a much longer period of time, and that she can give more than what her advisors perhaps suggested because she just wants to. And then she's not losing any of the tax benefit. She's optimizing it through stretching both the timing and the amount that's optimal. It's pretty cool. And you can see here 30 to 40 years of stretching it out. We've done a couple big ones in this way. And finally, there's some donors that come in and they say kind of this. You can see a quote because I've heard the quote. They can say, you know what, I want to defer this out until I'm 85 or 90. I don't think I'm going to live that long. I hope I live that long, but I don't think that I am. If I die before then, no annuity was ever paid. It all becomes a windfall to the charity or charities that I wanted to give it to begin with. Great. But what if I get there? Well, maybe I get there and I'm in good financial shape. I don't need the income. Okay, just revoke it all then, or half of it then. Okay, I kind of like that. Wait, What if I make it to age 90 and I'm not in good financial shape? Then just take the income. They use this as, in essence, a spigot sort of cliff piece to say it's like longevity insurance. If I get out there and all kind of crazy things have happened in my life, and maybe long-term care or who knows what, and I need the income, it's like this distant insurance policy that can kick in a ton of income. I don't care what their ages are. If you defer out to age 85 or 90, especially 90, ton of income has been deferred and accruing, that then you have that huge deferred payment based on the original gift. And so you can see here, if I make it that far, knowing it's there just in case. This is like the break the glass in case of an emergency. That can give people, and I had one person say this point blank, we see it all the time, if I know that that's there, I might feel now more comfortable giving other assets away during life because I know my income flooring. If I want to have $50,000 extra a year or $100,000, we have one that's almost $300,000 a year. That if everything goes crazy and all my assets go to zero, I'm getting $300,000 a year. That makes me comfortable, and I might make some other charitable gifts that without that, but for that, I would not be as comfortable making. So kind of cool. Next one, term of years, commuted gift annuity. This comes up a fair amount. We've got a donor with a problem. What do you know? Donor wants to provide a fixed income for a fixed period. I should have did the fixed period in all bold. Fixed period. Or even deferred, then a fixed period, then stop. And so she goes to her CPA, and her CPA advisor say, no, gift annuity can only be based for 1 or 2 lives. Now what? That's true. It can only be 1 or 2 lives, but it's an installment sale over the lifetime of 1 or 2 that can be mushed, which makes them bigger. So this is not mathematically correct at all. If you have a gift annuity that's supposed to pay $1,000 a year for 10 years, $1,000 each year, maybe you could do $2,500 a year for the first 3 years, and then that's it. Mathematically, it has to work out to be the present value equivalent. But the point is, you can commute the payments over a shorter period. And this comes up, we had 2 cases come up recently. The deduction is the same because it's the same math of the present value of the future life income. You're just pulling that forward or perhaps pushing it back, spiking it up a whole lot, and then stopping it. The charity still gets the residuum at the final payment. So once it's all done, once the full installment's done, that's it. So you sort of almost actuarially died at that point, and then the residuum or the remainder is released. So a lot of charities back in the day, not as much anymore, used to do something called a college annuity. And that's all this was a commuted annuity for a specific purpose. So you'd have a parent or grandparent that said, hey, my child's 8, and I think they're going to be college bound. Who knows at 8? But anyway, I digress. And so what we want to do is we want to make a charitable donation for a deferred gift annuity until that child turns 18. And then we want 4 years of payments, because in some unicorn Pegasus world, that child's going to graduate in 4 years. I don't think that's even the majority anymore, but I also digress again. So 18 to 22. So for 4 years, big slugs of money coming in as income, and they call it, again, the college annuity. You know why? To pay the tuition for college, and then whatever's left typically then would go back to the college. And what's left would be it when the child turned 22. So these were sort of truncated, shorter-term annuities, first deferred, fixed period, then stop. The point is the approach, or the application, I should say, was for a college annuity, but you could take that application and use it for almost anything. So I had another example. I can't remember whether I put it in here or not. Yeah, I did. So the second one, this was a case, annuitant was not in great health, and just said, look, I'm not in really good health. I don't want to do this over my whole lifetime. How about we do it just a normal gift annuity, but then commute it for the first 10 years, and then that's it. So then that made her comfortable moving forward with that, saying, because I'm never going to live, the 20 years or whatever that the table suggests. If I make it 10 years, I'll be happy. Unfortunately, she had obviously some medical issues. And then this other interesting case, she did it for what she called it the insurance gap. So she was, I think she was like 51, 52, and she said, I want to do a gift annuity now. She had a big income year. So she's like, I'd like to get an income tax deduction now. Definitely want to make a charitable gift anyway. But here's what I want to do. I plan on retiring at 60. You can see that right down here, retire at 60. So she did a deferral with a 5-year commutation. So then that way she said at 60 I wanted to start paying when I retire because I can't get Medicare until I'm 65. So I want to spike my income during that year to be able to pay health insurance or anything else, plus just doing this transition. And she was saying I want to defer my Social Security income a bit longer so that I can get some of the compounding there, not take it early as an example. And so in that way, I can sort of defer it out maybe to age 67 or even 70, knowing I've got some other supplemental income for that little bridge period. Very interesting. Used a gift annuity to be able to do that. So again, it's the college annuity is all it is, just not used for college. I call that the Medicare annuity. I have no idea. Probably don't do that. You're like 900 insurance regulations that you'd blow through on that one, but you get the point. So these are two cases last couple months. Also a fixed payment to a non-spouse partner. So one was a live-in partner, and one was a person actually who was a household employee. And they said, look, if we pass away, we'd like to be able to do this. And for the household employee, she was retiring. She was going to retire in like 2 years or so. And she said, we want to do as a family. She's a member of our family, period. And so we want to supplement her retirement income. She didn't have a 401k with us. So in a weird way, they said it's kind of like we're creating her own retirement plan. Here's where it gets really interesting. And they said, but we have some charities that we love, but we'd like to be able to make a donation. This was cash. You can have some real issues around capital gain recognition, funding it with capital gain property. Again, I'm glossing through a lot of this for covering a lot of territory because of the time. But the point is they used cash. They did a gift annuity. The cool part was they then had her for her entire retirement to supplement that, in essence, like it were a retirement type plan, almost like a pension plan. But then they as the donors, were able then to determine or designate where the charity, who got the charitable residuum. So they maintained that part. They just provided her with the income. So that can create some gift tax, some other things. Again, I'm glossing through some of this, but interesting applications I would submit. So the next one is, and again, I'm not going to have time, unfortunately. I see a couple of questions and answers coming. I can't see them exactly. Please, please, please put yours in there because I am going to answer all of them, and I will answer them all in an aggregated group as I put on a word table, and you'll all get them for both the questions and answers from this session and Thursday. So just put them in there, even though I can't answer them directly here, so I'd encourage that. So the CRT Punt to CGA. So this one comes up from time to time. So we've got the donor problem. So your donor client has a CRT or a CRAT that either has not performed real well or has more ongoing expenses that are eating it up, or they simply don't want it anymore, but they need the income. So we see this a fair amount with, very understandably, frankly, some financial institutions that are increasing their minimums, which I get and I understand why. But sometimes it's like, look, this, I'm making this up, $560,000 trust that came in sort of at the wrong time. Let's say it was 2006, 2007, something like that. And now the $560,000, which, may be enough heft, you could say $1.1 million for that matter, has now dropped, 15 or 20%. And now it's under the minimums. We have minimum fees, and it's like, I just want to make sort of I don't want to get K1s. I just want to sort of make this simple and sort of get the best income that I can. So her advisor said, well, hey, the best thing to do is you can just terminate your interest and just sort of be done with it. And the person might say, well, that sounds good to you, and yes, I'd get an additional deduction for that, which would be great, but I need some life income. Maybe not all of it that I was otherwise receiving, but some of it. So what you can do is they actually can revoke or release the assignment of the life income interest, because that's still a sort of an asset that they're retaining. So they're receiving, of course, a life income, so they can assign that life income over to a charity in exchange for a charitable gift annuity. So you're converting that life income piece into a new life income piece, but a much simpler, generally much less expensive charitable gift annuity. The trust can terminate and then, in essence, can distribute any of the charitable assets generally to the issuer of the gift annuity. And then the donor can be also entitled to an additional deduction based on the present value of life interest donation that will eventually be going to charity as well for that new portion that they are releasing. So all that sort of occurring at once. It's not that complicated of a transaction, but a couple steps to sort of paper through. And then the charity might have to stretch the CGA payout because, remember, they're not getting the whole thing for the gift annuity. They're only getting the life income interest. But if the remainder, in essence, of the trust becomes the same charity, then the charity actually does get the whole trust amount, but they must base the gift annuity only on the present value of life income. So the point is, sometimes if state law allows, don't sue me for this, you can increase, in essence, artificially increase the charitable gift annuity rate. May not be perfect to match the charitable remainder trust rate, but you can sort of inch it closer to that based on this structure because you're getting all the other trust assets coming over as well. So that actually can work out pretty well. So next one, we're sort of plugging through here. I think we got 2 left if I'm not mistaken. Yep, good time. So retained life estate for a charitable gift annuity, also known as the charitable reverse mortgage. That's the best way to think about it. So these have been popping up more of late. You've got a lot of real estate appreciation. You've got older donors who want to sort of age in place, and they are charitably inclined. And a number of them are planning to leave their homes to charity anyways through their trust document, perhaps through a POD or a TOD designation, or obviously through wills. So they may be doing it anyway, and that's the situation we have here. So again, donor problem, situation, challenge. Donor wants to live in her house as long as she possibly can and then leave it to charity in her will. That's, again, quite common, in particular for single donors and or donors who have already taken care of their kids and other heirs to the extent they deem appropriate. She would love to leave the excess equity if possible. Love to access the equity if possible during life. So she's thinking about, well, should I do a reverse mortgage? I'm not entirely sure. I don't need that much, but what other options would I have? So if her favorite charity, she might have gone to them and they may not offer gift annuities at all, or they don't offer them for real estate, or very understandably, they may not offer them for real estate that won't sell. And by that I mean not that it's not marketable, but a retained life estate, it's not selling anytime soon. They would not actually have ownership legally of the entire interest until she passes away. So the question then is, how would you issue a gift annuity based on a retained life estate? So what she could do, again, very few, maybe 2 or 3 charities doing this, or we do these through the National Gift Annuity Foundation. So it's a little bit more esoteric than I'm probably making it sound. It is possible. We're talking about advanced sort of solutions here. It is very possible. We've done, again, a number of these, where you have a gift annuity, straight issuing of a gift annuity, for the retained life estate. So she is giving, what is a retained life estate? She's giving a remainder interest in her home, perhaps in a second home, to the charity. I'm giving you irrevocably the remainder interest, whatever's left when I die, to you, charity, but I'm not giving that outright. I'd like to get some income back for that value that I'm giving. Key point for us, maybe not for others, but we usually do these for 85 and over. So usually you want to have about a 7 to 10 year life expectancy-ish. The math works much better, and with $500,000 or more in equity. So a number of these that we've done have been sort of that $1 million, $2 million plus on the equity side. The juice just isn't worth the squeeze sort of going through this. So it's a little bit of a maneuver, as you can probably already tell. The key point is, like any retained life estate, the retained life estate means she's retained the property for life. That's what that legally is defined as. She's retaining that, which also means that she has full, in essence, ownership and maintenance responsibilities on the property. So insurance and taxes, all the stuff she wants to put, a no wing on it, she put a new wing on it, do whatever she wants. It's her house. But the remainder is not her house. The remainder is with charity. Again, our charity can do this, and what we do is we would pay a lifetime income based on the value of that remainder interest. So let's say the remainder interest is $200,000. So you'd calculate that on any plan giving software. And so if that interest is $200,000, then based on her age, we would issue a full ACGA rate at that amount. Our policy is we can front it. This is the whole issue. You're fronting payments. And so that means she's still living in the house. Charity's got to have excess liquid cash to front those payments. So let's say I'm making this up 6% on $200,000. That's $12,000 a year that's being, fronted to her every year. 10 years, that's $120,000. It starts to add up pretty fast. We take that out of her endowment, and we, in essence, charge a fee, if you will, of lost opportunity costs from investments. Who knows how that's going to work over time, but of 1% per month. So that's 12% per year. So in essence, that's trying to true up back to the endowment. Clearly, it's a much more complex asset, incredibly illiquid, and you're retained or your remainder interest anytime soon for anything close to the fair market value. But the point is it's possible. So then we front that. Now she passes away. We get the entire house. We sell the entire house. Then we say, here are all the payments that we fronted. Now we take back, recoup, otherwise which would have been the endowment the whole time. And then the net amount, to sort of an accounting reconciliation for that, is then paid, same thing, to the charity or charities of her choice. So it all has to pass through, just like all the assets. We don't manage anything liquid in donor funds. So bottom line is that it's possible and it can work, and we're doing most of these in California for obvious reasons. I think there might be another one we did, maybe Chicago, but doing about probably 2 of these a year, 2 to 3 a year, and the math can work quite well. And then they're really happy because they can say, if we die early, sort of the bank isn't benefiting, not that banks are super evil, but the charity is benefiting. If anything is accelerated by us dying too soon, then the charity is the one that actually benefits, which is where we were going to give the money anyway. And then it's all already out of the estate anyway for estate tax purposes. Not a big deal now, could be pretty soon. And 2, of course, getting at least a current income tax deduction for the charitable gift annuity that otherwise would have been totally lost if it simply would have gone through will to the same charity. So a number of benefits doing early. And the final piece is making sure that the charity has a very strong, I should double underline that, make that all cap, retained life estate agreement. So disclosures, making sure capacity, been a number of interesting talks on capacity issues in particular. We're talking about 85 plus. I want to be very sensitive to that. And then most importantly, where some confusion comes in is, let's say that she's going to go into an assisted living center or just simply move, that many heirs don't fully understand what a retained life estate is. Many advisors don't either. And so it's like, oh, mom can sell her house, and her house is $800,000, and she wants to move into a place that's $700,000. Oh, that's great. She'll have $100,000 left over. And we say, no, she gave the remainder interest of the house. Now she's 92, which means the remainder interest might be 80% of those proceeds at the time of sale. That must come over to the charity. So now she's only left with a little bit. And they say, what? So you want to have a lot of disclosures and communication to make sure there are no surprises later. We all know maybe what happened this morning. We may not know in 21 years what we agreed to this morning. So there's some good communication cadence and reaffirmation about how the agreement works itself also that could be helpful. And then the final one is, we've worked on 2 of these. They are gigantic. One was this S-Corp stock, but we worked on another gift annuity that was $28 million, 138, 128, kind of weird. And he did it for his 2 daughters. And so I'll go through this very, very large one, but for exactly this goal. And so here's, again, the donor problem. Donor wants to leave in the simplest way possible a fixed income stream for her 3 sons. In this real case, it was 2 daughters. Any remaining funds would be used for her charitable goals. Kind of like the household employee where they say, you're getting the income, but we are able to direct where the actual charitable piece goes when you pass away. In this case, the professional advisor said, oh, we know how to solve this. It's a traditional spendthrift trust. We can create that. There'll be a trustee. They can sort of determine discretionary gifts, et cetera. I should say income disbursements. And, we have an accountant. We can have the whole package. That may be perfect. That may be perfect for what they wish to do. But here's a charitable spendthrift type trust. It's not a trust. It's a gift annuity. So here's how it works. The donor creates a testamentary gift annuity. Could be lifetime, but here we're talking about a TCGA, testamentary gift annuity, with estate assets. Could that be an IRA pouring into this? Yes. Could that be, cash, anything else? For her 3 sons, current ages of the 3 sons, 57, 59, and 63. So if she dies 10 years from now, then the testamentary gift annuities would be created at that time through her estate with the charity, and obviously 10 years from now, it'd be based for the sons 67, 69, and 73, and whatever the ACGA rates are at that time. So what do they get with the gift annuity? You know exactly what they get, a fixed payout as long as they live. Sounds kind of like a spendthrift trust. You're getting this amount, you can't access principal, you can't do crazy stuff with it. Yes, you could use the income coming off to go do crazy stuff, but at least we're minimizing that. And we're sort of creating this fixed income, what's called retirement flooring in the retirement planning community, kind of like a super Social Security or a pension type plan. Fixed amount coming in no matter what, no matter how long you live. So some parents like, that sounds pretty good. So in this case, again, our charity wasn't the one that did this huge one. I worked with a community foundation on that. Can then pay the ACGA rate to the sons based on their age, just as I mentioned. The funding amount could be equal or unequal. Might say, hey, one son's in great shape, I'll have a little bit less. One son's, maybe not as good a shape, perhaps chose to be a teacher or some other public service or servant, and in that way they'd like to increase it. They can mix and match however they want, all based on the estate documents creating the testamentary CGA at the time. And then, which I really like about this, she can name, again, whatever charity for all 3 sons. I'm going to say something bad. Let's say that I live in Florida. Let's say that she went to University of Florida, so she's a Gator. She does a Gator chant. Her all 3 sons went to Florida State. She might say, I like Florida State. I gave them a whole bunch of tuition for my 3 sons. I'm a Gator. I'll do the chomp chomp. So in that case, what happens is she can say, I want all 3 sons to get a testamentary CGA. They get all the income. But when each one passes away, the full residuum goes where? University of Florida. I'll just have that go right back to them. They might say, oh, no, we want Florida State. They say, I don't care what you want. I want to go to University of Florida. So it's kind of like a Q-tip provision, which you see in some trusts, in particular with second marriages and some other type planning. But the point is that she is able to control, which I think is kind of neat. Or she could say, listen, you went to Florida State. They did a great job. How about you just have yours go there? And they say, oh, that'd be great. Or, hey, you know what, Mom, I'd like to have that go to University of Florida and add to that scholarship fund that you had created over there anyway. I'd like to do that for you. So it can be sort of a mix and match in terms of where those go as well. And the final thing is, again, there are no trust creation, no administration, no discretionary issues about requests for disbursements. The gift annuity has fees too. I don't want to sugarcoat that. There are fees for gift annuity, but generally speaking, they're not going to be as great as a separate trust and trustee and investment manager, administrator, accounting, et cetera. Generally speaking, especially for the, and I'm making this up, 200,000 to, maybe $1.5 million sort of range that may otherwise not be able to get some efficiencies there. But for this $28 million one, he said, there was through his estate. When I die, I want there to be 2 gift annuities for my daughters, and then for both of the remainders to go over to a community foundation for the family fund that was already there. And he said, and I remember, he said, look, if they die early, that would be really, really bad. I don't want that to happen. But if they do, then all that residuum is going to go right over to the donor advised fund for the family anyway. And that gives me a lot of comfort that it will always be used for charitable purposes. So that's it. I think I've got about a minute here left. There are only a couple things here, and I was just going to say the CGA permutation. So if you think about the impact annuity last time or the crypto annuity, what about, could you have an impact gift annuity funded with S-Corp stock that uses this charitable deduction stretch? Yes. How about a crypto-funded commuted term of years CGA for a non-spouse beneficiary? Yes. Testamentary IRA CGA for a spendthrift goal to 3 children, what we just talked about. Yes. So a lot of cool combinations and permutations that might come out of that. And then the last slide is just simply the past webinars that we've done. No other slides beyond this, so I'll close. Everything that we've done, again, has always been free. It's all online. Anything that we can be helpful with, definitely let us know. But I hope that you've, both on the last Not Your Grandfather's Gift Annuity webinar session around the Impact one, the Crypto one, and the Testamentary CGA for the Stretch IRA alternative, plus these 6, I hope you'll say, wait a minute, this is different than what I thought was supposed to be this super simple little contract that people did when they didn't have enough money for a CRT. That's what I was taught in 1993 when I got into this business, and some of the biggest cases I've ever worked on in my life are gift annuities. The flexibility and fungibility are amazing. For the certain donor goals and certain assets, they can work incredibly well. So they're not as simple as what most people think. So with that, I will close. I hope it's been a good use of your time. I do not know yet what next month's webinar topic will be, but we'll be cranking that out here next week and sort of get the information out. So with that, again, ask any other Q&A pieces here right at the end. We'll be sending this out next week with the link and the Q&A responses. So thank you all very, very much for your time, and I hope it's been helpful. Bye-bye.